Welcome to Plan9Crunch. This is Doug Gibson, and today we are doing Plan9Crunch Reads from a Genre book. The book today is Ghostly Tales of Japan, and it's written by Andi Brooks. It's an anthology. Brooks lives in Japan, and these are stories that he told his son. When his son was young, he'd give him bedtime stories. And this book has been quite popular. Besides English, it's been translated in Japanese and also French. We interviewed Andi Brooks recently about this book. Andi has also written, or actually compiled, ghost stories for Christmas from various periodicals long ago and put them in 2 volumes. So let's read a story from Ghostly Tales of Japan. It's called An Act of Cruelty Avenged. And it involves a lord of an area who is very cruel. And there's this beautiful woman, and the lord desires her, and she wants to keep her virtue. Okay, so the lord does something horrible to her. He basically just takes this blade and pulled up the white hot piece of metal and put it across her face, taking out her eyes. And then he takes off, never thought at all about what's going on. And they try to help the young woman. They try to do the best they can to take care of her. But it's quite apparent that she's going to die. And I'm going to read a part of this short story now. And remember, as I said, it's called An Act of Cruelty Avenged. Despite earnest prayers for her swift admission to heaven, however, the young woman's spirit, being filled with rage at the nature of her death, refused to leave the earthly plane. The Lord, meanwhile, had given his victim no further thought. In a life built upon cruel deeds, she was easily forgotten. Returning from a hunting expedition sometime after her death, he found himself separated from his party in a strange, unseasonable fog. The thick folds of the eerie mist wrapped themselves around him, leaving him disorientated and hopelessly lost. Coming upon an isolated cottage, he stopped to ask for directions. The inhabitant was an alluring woman who bade him rest and take refreshment until the fog lifted. The Lord's inevitable amorous overtures were readily accepted by his hostess. As they made love, she whispered, "Are you a brave man?" "Of course," he replied. "Are you brave enough to light a candle?" "A candle?" he asked curiously. "Yes," she teased. "Are you brave enough to light a candle and look upon my beautiful face?" He laughed haughtily. "Such a task will take only the courage to leave the warmth of your bed to brave the cold of the room. But if that is all it will take to prove my manliness, then I will gladly perform the task for you." Still laughing, he slipped out from beneath the bed cover, lit a candle, and held it aloft. His blood ran cold when he beheld the woman's features. The flesh of her eyeless face was burned away down to the bone in the shape of a skith blade. Ghostly Tales of Japan. There are 30 stories, and I highly recommend reading this book. It can be bought at Amazon.com. We'll put a link. And there may be another book called Eerie Tales of Japan, although Brooks has told me he has no set date for publication yet. But one of the stories, we'll put a link to it, is called Kakai, K-A-K-I. And Brooks is on YouTube reading it, and that will be from the next volume. So anyways, this is Plan9Crunch, Doug Gibson. Plan9Crunch reads from a genre book. We've been reading from Andi Brooks' Ghostly Tales of Japan. And thank you for your time. We're at Plan9Crunch on YouTube. We're at Plan9Crunch podcast and blog on Facebook, Plan9Crunch on TikTok, and Plan9Crunch.com for our blog. Thank you very much, and that's a wrap.